Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I wanted to share a flip through of my new personal journal. It's very different from what I've used previously, and I've never made anything like this before either for myself or for my shop. Making this journal has really taken me out of my comfort zone and has been challenging me in many different ways. So it's a soft cover journal and I've made the cover with fabric and card. The fabrics were all thrifted. Most of the journal is covered in this beautiful dark blue floral fabric, and I added these two lace butterfly pieces which were sent to me in some happy mail. And at the top of the journal I've done some hand stitching. I've used embroidery floss to add some little crosses. It just adds a little bit of texture and detail. Then there is this lacy cream floral fabric which covers some of the front, works its way over the spine and round to the back. I've also added a floral piece of the same fabric to the back corner, and this journal just has a really dreamy feel to it. So this journal is bigger than my last one. This one measures approximately 7 inches wide by 9 inches tall. So for size comparison, this was my previous journal, and this one measured 5.5 inches wide by 7.5 inches tall. So this one is a lot bigger in terms of width and height. The spine is about 2 inches wide with 6 signatures, and I've used a wax linen thread to bind the signatures in. I haven't added any beads because I felt like there was already enough going on with the fabrics and I wanted to keep it fairly simple. The spine is curved, so there is plenty of growing room. So let me show you inside. The inside cover is lined with scrapbook paper, and this time I did something slightly different. I usually like to decorate the front and back cover with the same scrapbook papers, but this time I chose different patterns. So on the back cover I have this spotty black and white pattern, and both of these papers are from Maggie Holmes' Garden Party. And then for the front cover I chose this word print scrapbook paper, and I also highlighted all of the words with capital letters with some sewing, and I really like how that looks. And this journal is far from perfect. I'm not sure if you can see on camera, but here and here there are some dried glue spots. There's also some glue on the back cover, and even though I tried to be really careful with the fabric, I clearly added a bit too much glue in these places. And you can see here that I've done something else differently as well. I've added some tabs to my pages. The only journal I've made before that had tabs in it was my little giveaway journal that I did last year. So I added these tabs as a little challenge, not only with my sewing machine, but also with my journaling. And this wasn't intentional, but I kind of have a little bit of a waterfall effect with my pages, so you can see lots of different papers here. I didn't plan it that way, it's just the way it turned out. Another thing I've done differently this time is I have dyed some paper. So this pink paper here is actually avocado dyed paper, and it's something I've wanted to do for a really long time. So I recently spent a whole afternoon and early evening tea dyeing some paper and avocado dyeing some paper. And that was a challenge in itself because it was quite time consuming, it was a little bit messy, but I absolutely love how this pink paper turned out. And another thing I've done differently this time is I've not added as much scrapbook paper. I've added 1 piece of scrapbook paper to each signature. So there are 6 pieces of scrapbook paper, and then I've just used lots of other papers from my stash because, like I said, I wanted to try and play around with some avocado dyed paper and some tea dyed paper and use up some of my other papers as well. I've also not gone crazy with pockets because it's something that I can add when I journal, but equally I wanted to have some pages with a little bit of detail on already, just to help me get started. So I've added a tuck spot to the first page. This is actually from some packaging I got in the mail, and I thought I would be able to slip a journal card in there saying when I started and finished this journal, and all I've done is use my sewing machine to stitch on all the tuck spots and pockets. I have some vintage music paper. This is some scrapbook paper. Again, I think it's from Garden Party. And this here is some tea dye paper. Over here is a photo frame pocket, and I can either add a photo using these corner slots here and then slip something behind the photo, or I can just slip the photo straight into the pocket. This page is from a vintage book. Some more avocado dye paper. Here is a little tag pocket, and this came from my friend Danny in some mail. This is a vintage children's book page, vintage ledger paper, more tea dyed paper. There's a little tuck spot here. And then here I've added a piece of fabric, and it actually goes over to the other side. So this is avocado dye paper, and I've never added fabric into my journal before. So I'm really interested to see how I will use this on a page. Maybe I could just practice some embroidery on it, but I thought that would be really fun to experiment with and to explore in my journal. And then this came from a vintage book, some craft paper. And then on this scrapbook paper, I've stitched in an envelope. So there is a little pocket here, and then there is a little pocket behind here as well. So there's two pockets on this page. This is from a vintage children's book, and I chose this page because it has all these different cat illustrations here. I just think they're so cute. This came from some vintage sheet music. This is the front cover of the book, and I really like the colours of this. Another vintage children's book page. This wallpaper pocket came from Melanie, who is Handmade of Stardust on Instagram. Some more craft paper, some more tea dyed paper. This here is a little pocket, and this came from some junk mail through the post. I think it was from some Cath Kidston mail. This paper came from the back of some vintage sheet music, and I absolutely love the colour on this. Over here I've attached this little flip out piece. This page came from an Edith Holden book, and as you can see I didn't do a very good job of stitching it in because it's really wonky. Some more avocado dye paper, and there's a little fold out. This came from a vintage gardening book. And then here I've got some shorter pages that I can play with. Over here I've stitched on an envelope, and this is on some scrapbook paper. I've left this little flap of the envelope open so it becomes a little tuck spot. Some tea dyed paper, scrapbook paper. Over here is a tuck spot. This is some paper that I found in my scrap box. I'm not entirely sure where I got this from, but I did go through my scrap box to pick out some bits and pieces that I could use as tuck spots and pockets. Some avocado dye paper. This here is from a vintage gardening book. Some tea dyed paper. This is the middle of the signature, and there's a little fold out, so I'll have fun playing with this page. Here's a little pocket, and this is just a scrap from an Edith Holden book. There's some more craft paper. Over here is a first day cover that I've stitched in, and it folds up, and up here is a pocket. And I absolutely love the butterfly stamps that's on the first day cover. And there's a little tuck spot here. More avocado dye paper, scrapbook paper. This was from my scrap box. I think it was from a brown craft paper bag. This book page was in my stash. I got it in some Happy Mail. There's some vintage ledger paper. There's a little fold out. This was also in my stash and was sent to me in some Happy Mail. And because these pages weren't big enough to really fold in half, what I did was I used some washi tape to attach both of these pages together. That's the brown paper bag, scrapbook paper, and then I've also attached some lacy fabric as a tuck spot to this back page. This is avocado dyed paper, and I really like how that looks. And that was the last page in the journal, and as you can see, there is tons of growing room in this journal. So that was a look at my new personal journal. I'm so excited to move into this one. I'm looking forward to the bigger size and having more space to work with. I really hope you enjoyed seeing a flip through before I start playing in it. New journal with me process videos will be coming soon. If you have any questions about the journal or anything, please leave me a comment below. I hope you're all doing really well. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.